60 Minutes Overtime.
Where are we now, Patriarch?
My story this week on the vanishing number of Christians in the Holy Land was produced by Harry Radliff.
Why did you do a story on Christians leaving the Holy Land?
Because it's the Holy Land. There's no place on earth that means more to more people than the Holy Land. Half of humanity thinks that the Holy Land is sacred. Christians, Muslims, Jews. And there's been this mix of all these people who somehow live together, for a long time. I mean, now it's changing. It's fundamentally changing.
In the course of reporting this story, Harry and I came across a small village in the West Bank called Taybeh, located some 22 miles northeast of Jerusalem, population around 1,500. Taybeh is the last all-Christian village in the Holy Land, and nearly 2,000 years ago, Christ is said to have come to Taybeh on the eve of his crucifixion.
This is the only Christian town in Israel, Palestine.
We're the last kind of Christian stronghold. This tiny little village has a beautiful history of 2,000 years being Christian since the time Christ came into this village right before his crucifixion.
Maria Huri was raised and educated in the United States. Her husband David is from Taybeh, which she now calls home. Huri has become an advocate for the rights of the diminishing number of Palestinian Christians.
Can you, in your worst nightmares, envisage the day that there won't be any Christians left in this Christian town?
Yeah, and that would be sad because we want people to give glory to God in the church. We don't want the churches to be empty. We don't want the churches to be museums. We believe in a living Christian presence.
I was born here. I would like to remain here. I am like the olive tree, which is rooted deep, deep, deep in the ground for centuries and centuries, and I fall in love with this land. I will not exchange it with all the world.
Father Rahed Sahliya is Taybeh's Roman Catholic priest. In the 9 years he's been here, his parishioners just keep leaving.
Father, you have 780 parishioners here today. Do you have any idea how many Roman Catholics there were in Taybeh before the Israeli occupation began?
There were at least 2,000.
Now you have more people living in Detroit, Michigan from Taybeh than Taybeh itself.
To what extent do you think the Christian presence in the Middle East, the Christian presence in the Holy Land, is threatened?
It's threatened to a great extent, but it's necessary for it to exist because we need to work to keep Christians in the Holy Land because they have a very important position of promoting peaceful actions and peaceful reactions to the violent conditions that we've been living in for so many years.
If the Christians continue to leave and the numbers keep getting smaller and smaller, it becomes more a Palestinian-Arab-Israeli conflict. It becomes more harsh, more brutal than it already is.
And the chances of peace and stability?
Well, we're waiting for a miracle, and it's the Holy Land. Miracles happen, so we have to keep our hope.
And while you're waiting for a miracle, it helps to keep a sense of humor.
I will assure you that even if all the Christians of the land will leave and I will remain alone, I will get married and we will start another new generation.
How can you get married, Father?
I will do that, don't worry for me.